Too many researchers write vague, copy pasted theoretical contributions, and they lose their marks in their viva or they get stuck in peer review. So, this presentation breaks down an academically recognized model with clear examples so you can write a strong, defensible contribution that actually holds up under scrutiny. But first, we need to answer why theoretical contribution matters. Not all academic research starts with a theory. But once you're using a theory to guide your study, you're expected to contribute to it. That's what turns your work from a study into a scholarly conversation. Uh, a theoretical contribution means your findings do more than just to confirm what we already know. They extend, refine, or sometimes even challenge the existing ideas. So whether you're preparing for your viva or aiming for publication, you will be asked the same question. What does this add to theory? And your answer needs to be clear. Before discussing how to write a theoretical contribution, let's see what the 5 common mistakes that people make in writing it are. So, number one, vague and generic statements. You must avoid this catch all phrases like this contributes to attitude, behavior, consistent theory, or any other theory without explaining how. So, a strong contribution should pinpoint what is being added. For instance, this study extends attitude behavior consistency theory by introducing digital dissonance as a moderating construct in online reviews. Now, that shows exactly what's new, where it fits, and how it speaks to the existing theory. Now, number two, no clear theoretical anchoring unless you're building theory from the ground up. So, a theoretical contribution must engage directly with an existing body of theory. It can be by extending it, challenging it, or clarifying its boundaries. So, if your study is situated, if it's not situated within a specific theoretical framework from the outset, your findings may still be interesting, but they will not be positioned to advance theory. So, if you're researching, let's say, consumer trust in online platforms, but you haven't framed your inquiry around established theories like institutional theory or trust transfer theory, then your results will remain descriptive. So the absence of theoretical anchoring limits your ability to explain how and why your findings matter. Now, number three, it's repeating the existing knowledge. So a theoretical contribution must offer something beyond confirmation of what is already well established. If you're just simply validating a known relationship, even in a new context, it does not qualify as a contribution unless it yields additional theoretical insight. For example, showing that perceived value leads to purchase intention. Many studies have already established. It adds uh, uh, it adds very little unless you reveal a new factor that changes, explains, or limits the relationship. Number four is treating findings as self-explanatory. Now, many researchers assume that results speak for themselves, but unless you connect them explicitly back to the theory, showing what holds, what breaks, and what needs updating, there's no contribution. So, reporting results, significant or not, is only the starting point. A theoretical contribution requires interpreting what those results mean for the theory you're working with, and failing to do this reduces your work to just empirical reporting rather than theorizing. So if a key predictor in your model is not significant and you move on without questioning what that says about the theoretical logic that you had relied on, then you miss the chance to revise, refine, or challenge that theory. Now we have seen the 5 common mistakes. The next step is to understand what actually makes a theoretical contribution strong. And for that, we turn to a widely cited framework by Corley and Gioia. And they propose that all theoretical contributions can be evaluated along 2 key dimensions. One is related to how original your contribution is, and the other to how useful it is. Now, originality ranges from incremental to revelatory. Incremental contribution builds on existing theory, for example, refining a model, adding a construct, testing it in a new context. Revelatory contributions are more ambitious. They offer a new lens, challenge the foundational assumptions, and propose a new theory altogether. Usefulness is the second dimension, and it's divided into scientific usefulness, meaning your work advances academic knowledge with methodological or conceptual rigor, and practical usefulness, meaning it has real world relevance for practitioners or policymakers. This model just doesn't just help you evaluate your contribution, it helps you frame and write it with clarity and intention. Now let's break down it into each quadrant of this model. So starting in the top left, incremental plus scientific. This is where most traditional research sits. The work builds on existing theories and contributes through added rigor, clarification, or testing in a new context. For example, extending the theory of planned behavior by adding a new variable and validating it with strong methodology. Now, moving on to the top right, revelatory plus scientific. This is the most ambitious academically. It involves developing a new theoretical lens, and it challenges the core assumptions of existing theory uh, while it maintains conceptual and methodological rigor. So, for instance, uh, proposing a new model of consumer identity construction that reframes how self presentation is theorized. Now, if we move on to the bottom left, incremental plus practical, this quadrant focuses on applying established theory in real world context, generating insights which can help practitioners, um, but it does not necessarily change the theory. For example, applying a known service quality model in a new industry like telehealth or and AI, and it it does so by offering actionable insights. Now, moving on to the last quadrant, which is the bottom right, revelatory plus practical. This is rare but powerful. It introduces a new theoretical perspective that is both novel and immediately useful to practice. For instance, developing a new framework for ethical AI marketing that redefines the theory and also helps the firms apply this new theory in their policy and design. Now, if you look at this model, most studies will naturally fall into one quadrant. But ideally, strong PhD work aims to be useful to both academia and practice, even if the contribution is incremental. So once you have identified your contribution, the next step is to communicate it clearly. So here's a simple structure that you can follow when writing the theoretical contribution section, whether it's just for a research article, your thesis, or viva. First, position your work within this model. Say exactly what kind of contribution you're making. For instance, this study makes an incremental theoretical contribution by extending existing consumer engagement theory in a new cultural context. Or this study makes a revelatory contribution by proposing a new framework for understanding value co-creation in influencer marketing. Second, explain what's new or extended. Be specific. Are you introducing a new construct? Are you revising a relationship? Are you identifying a boundary condition? Or are you applying a theory to a previously untested context? Don't leave this for the reader to infer. Say it explicitly. For instance, this study extends consumer brand relationship theory by introducing algorithmic intimacy as a new construct that captures how consumers perceive emotional connection with AI driven brand interactions. Now, this tells the reader exactly what's new, how it relates to existing theory, and this is essential for a strong theoretical contribution. Now, third, clarify the usefulness of your contribution. Make it clear who your theoretical contribution informs and how. Don't just state your work has academic or practical value. Show which theoretical audience can use your work and in what way. So, by proposing a revised framework for consumer trust in AI generated content, this study provides theoretical guidance for future research on automated persuasion while also offering marketers a model to understand trust dynamics in algorithm-led environments. Now, this frames the theory's scientific usefulness and practical applicability. Number four, justify your claims. Don't just declare that your study contributes to theory, demonstrate it. A strong theoretical contribution requires you to show your findings address a known gap, they resolve a contradiction, or extend understanding into an underexplored area. This involves directly engaging with prior studies and clarifying what your work adds. For instance, while previous studies on social media brand engagement conceptualize engagement as a behavioral outcome, this study challenges that assumption by showing that in Gen Z consumers, engagement often begins as a performative identity practice. Now, this example shows what past studies did, what this study found differently, and how that changes the theory. And number five, avoid overclaiming. Now, be confident in presenting your theoretical contribution, but don't exaggerate. Overclaiming, especially in how you position your work against major theories, can lead to critical pushback. It's better to make a precise, defensible contribution than to claim you have overturned an entire theoretical tradition without sufficient evidence. What students often write? This study challenges social penetration theory by showing that people disclose personal information quickly online. Now, this sounds bigger than the evidence likely supports and implies that the entire theory may be invalid or outdated. A better version would be, which is more realistic and credible. This study extends social penetration theory by showing that in online interactions, perceived anonymity and reduced social risks can accelerate self-disclosure, suggesting that the traditional step-by-step progression of intimacy may operate differently in a digital setting. Now, this version, it respects the original theory, it clearly defines a specific aspect being adjusted, and it makes a defensible claim backed by your data. So, to summarize everything that we have discussed, a theoretical contribution is not about claiming to add to theory. It's about clearly showing how you have extended, refined, or questioned specific elements of it. Avoid vague or inflated statements. Be precise about your constructs, relationships, or frameworks, and support your claims with comparisons to prior work. Then use the Corley and Gioia model to position your work. Be honest. Is it incremental or revelatory, scientifically useful, practically relevant, or both? And finally, focus on clarity. The best contributions are not the loudest, but the most clearly articulated, well evidenced, and appropriately scoped. So if you can define what's new, explain why it matters, and show it how it connects back to the theory, your contribution will hold up in a viva or a review.